The 2 in the damage.
Oh, you're at 6 damage.
I had this.
Hey everybody, this is Curved. I bring you once again some legacy matches, or history matches, or vintage matches, if Dear Days 2 is to be believed. But today we're going to be continuing a little bit more of BT-6, hoping to finally move on from BT-6 into probably both EB3 and BT3, probably around the same time, because there's a few decks that are released in EB3. Not really too much going on, it's a pretty small set, but BT3 does actually shake up the meta just a little bit, as we will hopefully see once I get enough matches. But anyways, today we are going to be taking a look at just two, I would say, lower tier decks, I suppose. These are definitely not like the best decks of the format. Of course, Angel Feather missing a lot of support that it really needs in order to be good, and then Nova Grapplers over here having 3 waves of support already, BT6 being the 3rd wave, of course, but you know, still not really good enough to compete with, you know, the other 2 top dogs of the meta, which is of course like Gold and Royals, which are like just absolutely dominating the meta at this point in time. But anyways, gonna be going going first with the Nova Grapplers, riding into a Black Tortoise and then calling a second Black Tortoise down here. These are both on hits, so even though the opponent is on a 8k base Vanguard here, of course that being the grade 1 of the ride chain, giving it the extra 1k power, both these attacks are going to hit, including my Vanguard through a defensive. My opponent's just going to be taking the 2nd damage. They're getting double defensives, which is like a little bit cringe, but it doesn't really matter in the end, especially since this is Angel Feather, so like getting defensives is definitely not terrible. You do see me actually adding an Azure Dragon. I whiffed off the rearguard skill, but my Vanguard was actually able to, you know, actually hit there. I'm going to be running the Fate Healer, and then of course using the skill, the Heavenly Injector, we're going to be able to put 1 card from our hand into the damage zone and add back another. So basically, you know, exchange any card in your hand for a 10k shield, since we did see 2 triggers go into the damage zone. Honestly, really the only kind of benefit that Angel Feather has at this point is that kind of like toolbox ability, but is definitely very much hampered by the fact that, you know, there aren't really that many good Angel Feather cards. One of them, of course, being here, that Core Memory, which is, you know, made in a Libra clone, but, you know, still overall pretty solid card. You know, just like being able to actually use your Counterblast is kind of at a premium in this format. Like, there aren't a lot of decks that can really effectively use them, and even ones that can, like Nova Grapplers over here, don't really have... You'd be surprised that Nova Grapplers don't really have that many cards that actually use Counterblast. They have a ton of Countercharge still at this point, but specifically in this deck, there aren't really a lot of things that are using Counterblast in this instance. So we are actually going to be swinging at the rearguard. I could have committed a 5k shield there, but like I really didn't want to, just because, you know, I do kind of need attackers for the next turn. Although I think I might have just been full on triggers and like some grade 3s in my hand at this point. So maybe I didn't really have a better option there. Gonna be swinging, guarding with the trigger for a 2 to pass there. As much as things change, they do stay the same. An unboosted Vanguard still can be blocked by a single trigger, as per usual. But this other attack is going to be boosted by that critical trigger. The extra 3k from that Angel there is going to be making this a very good magic number, being that 20 there. So I could have guarded this, but that would have been a 2-card guard, which is very costly, especially when you're giving up like a 10k shield here. But I figure, you know, I'm at 1, I just take this damage, and, you know, just go to 3. It's not the end of the world. Of course, going to be riding Asura Kaiser here, which is the main Vanguard. We do have the Azure Dragon. I did actually have a 2nd copy in my hand, but at this point, I feel like, honestly, it's just better to call Azure Dragons as rear guards. They serve so much better, especially since you do have the White Tiger. So you basically have a guaranteed restand, which is something that Novas don't really have at this point. You've got Asura Kaiser and your stand triggers, which are basically your main ways of standing things. So anyways, we do see this first attack being guarded with the grade 1 no seal there. Going to be putting the circular saw into the damage zone and then just adding back, effectively countercharging, which is honestly, one of the other benefits of Angel Feather is that, you know, they do have pseudo countercharge, and a bit more ability to use counterblast, but you know, some of the countercharge is not really real. But you see me flipping over a double trigger here, a stand trigger being followed up by a critical trigger. I'm just going to go ahead and give 5k to each of my reguards. Since the attack did hit, I can restand the other one with my White Tiger. We get one defensive here, which is totally fine, but unfortunately the second defensive here is kind of just going to shut down both of these attacks, and for that reason, not going to be using the White Tiger because obviously it's not going to do anything. So we're just going to go ahead and swing our 16k Azure Dragon at the core memory, which is going to be blocked with that 10k guard. Definitely another weakness of Angel Feather is they are very much at a struggle for good rear guards. Like I said, there aren't really that many good cards. Basically, the best cards are the core memory, and then unironically, like the 10k vanilla. They realistically don't have that many good attackers. Like, sure, there is 1000 and million Ray Pegasus at this point, but the amount of damage manipulation deck does right now is realistically not enough to actually like get any value off that. Like, I think the best you're gonna get is like maybe an extra 2k on the million Ray Pegasus, which, you know, hits 11, which is a magic number in this format. Not quite yet, I would say, though, because there are still a lot of 10k Vanguards running around, but you see me over here with 3 11k Vanguards, or yeah, I guess 3 11, potentially 11k Vanguards. But of course, riding into the Erogodial, we do add 2 cards from the damage zone by putting 2 in from our hand into the damage zone. And now we do have a threatening on hit here with that 3 open CB. If this Erogodial actually does hit, you can Counterblast 2 and Persona Blast in order to actually, you know, heal a damage. But we're going to be swinging there. I'm going to be blocking this area, the core memory, and I am a little bit scared of healing down because I'm thinking maybe I can finish things on the next turn, but we do see a crit being flipped there, but that is like perfectly fine. It already attacked. Unfortunately, a little bit of waste of a trigger there. Probably should have swung Vanguard first, because I mean, like, it is kind of hard in early Vanguard because most clans start out with you know, 1 crit. They start out with like 1 crit, 1 heal, and then either like stands or draws. And technically, Angel Feather does have a stand in the form of No CL, the grade 0, at this point, but we're not really playing it in the deck. So most of the time, your attack pattern is either rear, van, rear, or if you're not you know, playing stanchers, usually just swing Vanguard first. But you know, it's all right. Anyways, swinging at the Asura Kaiser here, it's going to be perfect guard, but I do see a grade 3 off the top of that drive track as well as another perfect guard. So we are actually going to be able to restand this Azure Dragon and swing in. Thankfully, I do actually have these 11k rear guards, which are going to be able to hit unboosted, which is honestly just something that doesn't really happen a lot. We don't have a lot of 12k attackers at this point. So like having just 11k Vanguards to attack into 11k Vanguards is very, very crucial at this point. But like, because like even if they're not at 11k, it is still just, you know, it still hits unboosted. But unfortunately, not going to be able to call any rear guards here, as we're just going to swing in the Vanguard for 19. I'm going to go ahead and opt to take this. I do have that perfect guard, but I am also, you know, I don't really have that many good cards in my hand. We see a heal trigger being flipped here off the top. They're going to be able to heal down. I'm going to go to 4 here, which is pretty good for me actually, because that means that I am in heal range. But honestly, you've been kind of seeing one of the downsides of, you know, Legacy Vanguard, which is a lot of the times you just do the same thing over and over again until your opponent dies here. I mean, I have not called a rear guard since my grade 3 turn, as I'm going to be swinging here, getting the Brutal Jack and a heal trigger, allowing me to heal down to 3, and then giving the extra power to my Azure Dragon. And since he did take my Vanguard swing, I am finally able to use the skill of White Tiger here to counterblast 1, put him in soul, and restand that Azure Dragon, who's going to swing in for another 16, calling out another 10k guard here. So like, even though Angel Feather has been fairly bulky to this point, eventually just like this many attacks every single turn is definitely just going to be, you know, draining on their resources. I'm going to be perfect guarding the Vanguard here. Honestly, another thing is perfect guards aren't really the greatest in this format because, you know, most of the time, a lot of your attacks are 1-card guards. You guard with a trigger, so having to use up 2 guards is not really the greatest at this point in time. So I'm going to call down everything in my hand, just swing in with the 17. He's only got 3 cards in hand, one of them being a perfect guard, so I'm just going to swing in. He's going to take it, and that is going to be the game. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to do things, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.